Hello, welcome to Workshop 7, Subdomains. Okay then, what we're going to do in this workshop? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to be working with subdomains, which will help us understand how they work. And then what we're going to do is we're going to configure them, but we're going to configure it for full delegation. I'm going to leave the sudo or virtual delegation for you to work on your own in your own time. It's a trivial, it's the trivial component where it's just adding some extra records to a single file. The full delegation is a lot more complex and requires an additional server, so that's what we're going to do in the workshop. Everything we do in this workshop will be done via our virtual Ubuntu desktop against our virtual servers. So what do we need to do? Well, quite a bit. First of all, we need to create a 3-server DNS architecture. Now we've already done that, and we're going to have DNS 1, 2 and 4. We'll create DNS 3 later, and that'll be the subdomain DNS, but that's what we'll do later. Now, something we should remember, all these servers should be statically addressed, including DNS 3 when we create it, but for now we can ignore it, because all we're going to do at this stage is set up our basic 3-server infrastructure. Now, we've done that before, and I've done a bit of prep work because we can use the infrastructure from the last set of workshops, just rename a few of them, and we're all done. So that's what I've done. So I've got my DNS 1, DNS 2 and DNS 4 set up, and I'm going to actually tidy them all up and then do the workshop. I've done most of the tidy up, and I've got myself logged into machines already, so we can just crack on and do that. So what are we doing? Well, we're going to have DNS1, which contains the student.co.uk domain. It's also going to contain the RDNS as well. And then we've got our 2 secondaries. And that's our straightforward, simple domain architecture. We're going to add the student.co.uk. We've already done it, so we're just going to tidy it up. And we're going to create the reverse zone. And we only implement mail and www for the RDNS. So we'll have to take some records out of there just to get it where we want. The next thing we've got is we've got a selection of records here for student.co.uk that we need to set up. So we'll get that done. So we'll try and get this first bit done and then get those secondary servers pulling records. And we'll do some testing on the way. And the way we're going to test it's all working, we're going to test www.student and reverse looking up our IP address as well. Right, so let's get going with that. First of all, let's have a look at what I've tidied up and what I've done. Well, in my virtual machine, what I've done, I'll just stretch it out a little bit more there. What I've done in here is I've actually got 5 terminals running. One for DNS1, another one for DNS2, another one for DNS4, and that's our initial setup. I'm then poised, ready to log into our DNS4, which will become our subdomain DNS, which we'll look at in a moment. And I've got another terminal here so I can just run some queries and do some testing from the client. Okay, let's first of all do a quick run around the primary server and let's see what state it's in. So present working directory I'm in is student, so we'll cd etc bind. Let's have a look at all the files, named conf etc. So we'll go sudo nano named conf.local Northumbria. So let's have a look and see where those files are for now. So we've got our 2 zones, our RDNS, our primary DNS, sorry, our main forward DNS, our reverse DNS. We've got the file set up. We've got allow query, which we'll need to extend in a moment. And we've got our allow transfer to the secondary. So that's all fine. Next, we've got our main reverse DNS zone. We've got the file. We've got no notify, allow query, and that's within the actual machines themselves, within the architecture, and allow transfer. Okay, so let's have a look at my little bit of design work. That's the primary I've got. So I've sketched out a little design, always a good idea for these projects. So I've got DNS 1, 2, and 4, and there's DNS 3. So DNS 1 is my primary server, which is going to become a slave for the subdomain DNS. I've then got my 2 secondaries. So these are all linked together, and that's what we have at the moment. Our client machine's pointing to these 2 already. Let's just quickly check that. So if I come off here and I simply go to here, look at my wired connections, and we can check and see in here, if I look at the setup on the wired connection, I'm using those two servers. So I'm using the secondary servers. Okay, so I think we're ready to go from there. One last thing, if I just drop out of here, if I just drop out, exit out of there, let's check the database files and see if we need to do any cleaning up in there. So sudo nano db.student. Yeah, we've got some rubbish in here, so we'll take them out. Take that out and that out. We've got the mail in there, so we can take that out as well. Actually, we've got the mail record. I probably need to keep that in for now. So we'll just put that in temporarily, and we'll tidy that up in a moment. 10.168.100. We'll just put it pointing to my server. No, we won't. We'll put it pointing to somewhere. 100.1. Okay, so it's just pointing somewhere on the network, but at least it's doing that. What we'll do is we'll quickly change the serial number, and we'll save that, and we'll exit out, and we'll now quickly check our DNS. So that should be 168.10. So we'll come into here. We've got me set up, which we'll leave that one because that one will get set up again in a moment. What else have we got in here? Well, nothing. So we're clean, and our name servers point to NS1 and NS2. So we'll just quickly check that, where we've got NS1 and NS2 set up. NS1 is the two secondary servers. So NS1 and NS2, the secondary servers, mail server. So that's quite clean. So we'll just quickly go back into here. I didn't change anything, but what we'll do is we'll just give this a little tweak. We'll save it off, exit, and then we'll restart this server. So we'll restart the primary server. So sudo systemctl restart bind 9. Okay, so we know we've got our bind server clean. Next thing we need to do is if we come along and we have a look at our secondary server. So the first one of our secondary servers is DNS2. So cd/etc/bind ls-la, we can see the files, and we've got our namedconf local. So sudo nano namedconf.local, and let's see how that's set up. Okay, we got our forward DNS with student, it's a slave, we've got the file stored, master's pointing to 150, and the secondary set up the same. So that'll pull down, and we've got no logging or anything enabled in here. So that's a clean secondary server, so we can save that. And what we'll do now is we'll quickly check our DNS4. And all I've done is rename the servers here. So cd/etc bind ls, and we go sudo nano namedconf.local, and hopefully this will be the same. Yeah, so we've got that all set up as well. So that's the basic setup ready. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly drop out of here. We'll go and have a look at our main server, our DNS1. What we'll do in here, we've restarted it. Yes, we've restarted it. So what I'll do is I'll do a quick query on here. In fact, no, what I'll do is I will do a tail -50 on /var/log/syslog, and we'll just see what we've got there. And we've got student loaded with 10 and the reverse zone as well. So that looks like all zones loaded. So it looks like we're okay. Okay then, first things first then, let's have a look at what records we need to add. So I'll just clear that screen just so it's a bit tidy. In fact, I'm going to clear this one as well. Okay, so I've done a quick check, and my 3 servers are this. So in effect, I've got this setup, this setup, this setup, and these are all linked together. So what I'm going to do now is add the records that are required. Okay then, so we need to go to our primary server because that's where the records go in, and let's have a look and see what we need to do. Okay, we're going to add the student zone, and we're going to have ww2 and www, and it's going to point to an IP address in our range. Okay then. So let's have a look. So we go sudo nano db.student.co.uk, and we've got mail in there. So we need to do www in a record 10.168 because it needs to be in our zone so we can manage it. 100.1. See, let's have a look back here now. So that's the student one. Actually, no, I'll make it 2. So it follows just apart from 1 digit in there. There we go. So make it a 2. The next one, ww2. So if we put in ww2 here, it's an IN record A 10.168.100. Let's have a quick check. 2. Oh, 2 as well. Except I will put that as 192 because we can have different IP addresses. Next, we've got one called server on 21. So we'll create another one. And that's server, and that's an IN record, A record, and that's 192.168.100.21. We're not going to be doing any lookups on that, so on the reverse lookup, so we don't need to worry. And then mail is something from our range. So look what we've got, and it says on there, mail should be on IP address 200.2, so we'll just go with the same as well. We've got a few IP addresses the same, but that's fine. And then last but not least, gateway. Okay, so I'll put in gateway, and we'll just put it in as a gateway. IN A record 192.168.100.254. So in the labs that would work, at home it won't. But that's okay. It's not about looking the records up, it's about doing this correctly. Test the zone files. Okay, well, we've created me, we've got www, we've got student, so we got them all in there. Now, it did say that we want to implement a mail client as well. Sorry, a mail, which is an IP address here. So let's have a quick look at that. So we've declared here from the last time when we did the work in here, we've got mail declared, and it points to the mail server, which we just moved the server. But that's fine. That won't affect anything. So it looks like we're okay and all done. So last thing to do is we change the serial number and save that. Okay, then, let's see what we need to do next, because that's done. Test the zone file. Okay, let's do that. So, so that'll be named check zone, and we're going to check for student.co.uk. Oh, now I'm in the folder, so I can just go db.student.co.uk, and that seems to be okay. So let's do a quick restart. Sudo systemctl restart bind 9. Okay, so that appears to be working. Now, before I do any testing, what I'm going to do is check my secondary servers, because they've got that now. Now, let's have a look at some of the records I've got. I've got the mail server, and I've got me, etc. I've got server. So we'll do a lookup for server.student.co.uk on those secondaries. Okay, so let's go to here, open up the first secondary. Sudo, oh, sorry, we go sudo nano namedconf.local. Quick check before we do the restarts. Yeah, I think that's all okay. We drop out of there. Now, first thing I want to do is, let's quickly look at the primary server. If we actually look at these zones in here, one of the things we will see, oops, sorry, wrong place. No, it's namedconf.local. We have notify no. Now, what notify no tells our secondary servers is, well, what it tells the primary server is, don't inform the secondary servers if there's any changes. So the secondary servers won't know there's been any changes. So we need to force them through. So if we go to this server, and I actually, from here, just query itself. So I'll just do a localhost one. If I do an ns lookup on mail.student.co.uk, whatever was in the cache or whatever is locally stored in any temporary files, that's what it will give me. So it's given me 99, which is completely incorrect. So the secondary server is completely out of sync. If I go to the primary server, we can see, if we go to here, we can see that the mail server should actually be coming back with 100.2 on the secondary. So to fix that, we have to force a synchronization on this secondary server. So if we go sudo rndc, we can go reload the student.co.uk. Now this will trigger an update. Refresh queued, so it'll have gone through. So let's run that query again now against itself. And now we get the right answer. So it's drawn that database down. And we need to do the same on the other secondary server. So we go to the other secondary server, which is, let's have a look at our little diagram. So we've done this. We've checked this one. We now need to check this server, DNS4. Okay, so we got DNS4. Let's have a look, ls-la. And we know everything's working okay because we checked it. So what we'll do is we'll do exactly that same query. And let's see what happens. ns lookup. And what was it we looked up the last time? We looked up mail. That's right. Okay, let's have a look. So let's have a look up mail on 4. Okay, so ns lookup mail.student.co.uk, and we'll force the query off itself. And this one's actually come through. Just to be sure we've got the right thing, we can go sudo rndc. The reason I'm doing this is this may have actually come through because of the timing sequence on the SOA record. So irrespective, I want to force this. So I'm going to say reload my student.co.uk. So the refresh is queued. So my two secondary servers are now in sync. So where am I up to? Okay, we've got these built, we've got the forward zone, and now we want an RDNS for www and mail. Okay, then let's put them in. So we do this on the primary server. So on the primary server, we exit out of here, and what we want to do now is we want to do the reverse zone. And in here, we've got me, where it says we don't need that now. So we want mail, M-A-I-L, and that is running on 100. Let's have a look. Actually, I can do it from here. If I go to here, oops, sorry, wrong one. If I go to here, we can see mail is running on 100.2. So let's go back to the primary, and that is 100.2. And the other one we want is the www. And let's have a look and see where it says that should be. www, it's on the same address. Okay. It's on the same address, which means all I have to do is simply go 2.100 IN. Oops. This is another PTR record, and this time it is for www.student.co.uk. So I've taken all the load balancing stuff out here. So that's it, mail and www. So we save that. Sorry, before we save it, obviously, first thing we do is update the serial number. Otherwise, the secondary servers will never know. So we save it. And now what we can do is we can restart the server. So primary server restarts. Again, secondary servers aren't flushed, so we need to flush them. So DNS2, we simply go reload, but in this case, we're now reading only 168.10.inaddr-APA. APA. Failed to reload. No matching zone. Oh, there we go. Dot. Oh dear, yeah. Simple typo. So that's that zone refreshed on 2, and we'll do the same on 4. So DNS 4. So what do we want to do on here? We want to reload, and we want to reload 10.168.addr.arp. And what have I done here? IN address dot No matching zone in any view. Okay, so we try to reload it. Let's check that binary file and make sure we haven't got that wrong. Okay. Sudo nano namedconf.logo. Oh, 10.168. Yes. How silly of me. 168.10. I got that the wrong way around. Okay, and that's that done. Okay, that should be all of that, and that now done. So let's see if we can do these queries. So test the following queries. So if I now go back to my local machine, so I'm now on the local machine. Oops, just grab that. So from here, what I should be able to do is go ns lookup www.student.co.uk. No, we won't. First thing we'll do is we will flush that cache in its entirety. Okay, we'll flush the local resolver. I think I typed that in wrong there. I did. Northumbria. Okay, so that's done. So now what we'll do is we go ns lookup www.student.co.uk. And I get a single answer back, which is exactly what I expected. And then the last one is we'll look up that address. So let's have a look for 10.168.100.2. And it comes back now saying that IP address actually resolves to 2 URLs. So that's exactly what I wanted to be working. So let's get back to the workshop and see where we've got to. Okay, so we've built the 3 servers. We have the zones set up. We've got our DNS set up. We've used duplicate IP, and we've seen that it still works on the reverse resolution. We've tested zone files and tested them. Okay, so the next stage is to create a further DNS server, and this will be a primary server for the subdomains. Okay, now I've sort of jumped ahead on that one, and what I've done is I've actually got that machine already pre-created, but it's a bare machine. So we'll connect to it. This is the first time I've connected to it this way. So we'll say yes, it's added, Northumbria, and we now have our DNS3. So we'll just clear the screen, and here we are on DNS3. So let's have a look. This is our DNS3 that we're building, and this should have the IP address 153. So let's do a quick IPA, and there it is. So we're on the right machine. Okay then, so this machine doesn't have anything installed. So sudo nano bind9 and DNS utils. Northumbria. Oh, why did I do that? Sudo apt install. Too used to typing nano. And then we say unable to correct problems you have held broken packages. Okay. So what do I need to do here then? Some packages cannot be installed. This may have been requested an impossible situation if you use an unstable distribution. The following packages have unmet dependencies. Bind9 lib. Alright, okay, let's try and put them in. Sudo apt install bind9. Okay, let's try and put DNS utils in and then bind9. Okay, now let's see if we can put bind9 in. Still got a problem. Okay, let's see if we can figure that one out. I think I'll stop the video and I'll check that and then get back. Okay, I'm back. Now, what was the problem? Well, basically, the perils of reusing machines. What happened was there was an old version of bind9 lib on the machine. I think if I go back up here a little bit, I can spot it. There. I had that as a dependency, but something had already installed a different version and it gave me a problem. All I had to do was purge them and then I'm okay. So what I can do now is if I actually come back, if I now go sudo apt install bind9, there we go. We install bind9. Oh, forgot to put in DNS utils. Never mind. So we'll just go in DNS utils and we'll install them as well. Okay then. So we're back on track. So this is our machine here. And if we now go and have a look at what we have to do to that machine, that's just over here. So what we're now going to do is add the RDNS test, right? Link the subdomains to the primary. Okay, let's have a look at what the subdomains are. Add the following two subdomains, OS student and security student. Okay, so on our primary, which is our DNS3 is going to be another primary, and we're going to add it into the other machine as a slave, cd/etc/bind. In here, I need to create two more zones. So, sudo nano named_conf.local. So in here, I now need to create my two zones. The zone I need a one called os.student.co.uk, and I need another one, zone finance, I think it was, student.co.uk. Okay, and what we're going to do with this? Right, well, this one we're going to have, it's going to be type master. So this is type master. Type master. And we're going to have a file, and this file is a genuine database file, so it will be /etc/bind/db.os.student.co.uk. And what else do we want to have in here? Notify, no, so we'll keep the admin traffic down. And we want to allow transfer. And our allow transfer will be to the other primary server. So we want to go allow transfer to 10.168.100.150. We'll come down in a second and we'll do the access control. We'll do it now. Allow access. Sorry, allow query. Allow access. Allow query, and our query will be allowed on the primary server, which is 10.168.100.150. We'll also allow it to query itself, so 127.0.0.1. And what else should we allow it to query it? Well, let's put the secondary servers in there as well. So 10.168.100.151 and 10.168.100.152. Okay, so that's allowing query. Now before I go anywhere, let's have it. I haven't finished doing that. Don't need that. Okay, let's quickly check the other servers, because this has got the 3 servers in it and itself. So let's check the others. So if we go to the primary and I go sudo nano namedconf.local, I can see I've got those and itself. So I've now got another server in here. So I'll add that to there, 10.168.100.153. And that will allow transfer. Oh, no, that only allows transfer to those secondaries, doesn't it? So that server can query all of these. So, and we do the same to the bottom one as well. So we put in the other server in here as well. So 10.168.100.153. Now, is that right? So I want 4 servers to be able to query each other. So there's 4 declarations in there. So that's right. And allow transfer to the secondaries. So we'll save that. We'll come back to restart that server in a moment. So we now go back to this machine. And what we can do is to make this a little bit quicker ourselves. Clear that out. Undo that. Okay. So that's going to be master, and this will be finance. He says confidently. But let's have a look. So we're going to add in security. There you go. So I got that wrong. So OS and security. Okay, so there's my additional zones added in. Okay, allow transfer to the server and allow query from myself and the other 3 servers, which is 150, 151 and 152. And look at what I forgot to add on the end of there. There we go. And that should be that server done. If we save that, exit out, we can do a quick check on that config file, strangely. If I go named check and hit the tab key, hopefully it'll come back in a second. Conf, there we go, named check conf, and I can check named.conf.local. There we go. And it's come back with nothing, so there's no errors. If I go in and make an error, we can see what it does. It's a very simple check that it does. So if I sort of in here put, say, test, save that, exit out, do a quick named unknown option test. So it just does a quick syntax check. That's part of DNS utils. Okay, so I've got these 2 zones. So what do I need? Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do? Let's get these domain names in. Okay, there's my machine. Here's my machine. There we go. In. And on my machine, DNS, where is it? Yeah, my DNS3. Yeah, DNS3. So, cat mdconf.local. Oops. Okay, so we've got db os.student. Okay, so ls-la. Here we go. What have we got? We're going to create namedconf. Right. Okay, so if I copy over my local, so sudo cp db.local. And I'm going to copy to db.os.student.co.uk. Okay, sudo nano db.os.student.co.uk. Okay, first things first, we put the origin in. And the origin is os.student.co.uk. We're no longer at localhost. So we're now on os.student.co.uk. And who is the administrator? We'll just put it down as admin.student. student.co.uk for now. And the serial number will be 2020. Now let's have a look. 060201. There we go. Okay, so there's my serial number in. My name server is actually going to be ns1.student.co.uk because it's the same zone, because it's in the student zone. So Control K, and we'll just bring that in twice, and we've got two name servers for it. So name server 1, name server 2. Then what we can do is we can take these out. Okay, let's have a quick look, see what it wants us to add. It wants us to add www.ftp server 1, server 2. So TP server 1 and server 2. Okay, let's have a look. Let's do a quick tidy up on these. So IN, A record, now 10.168.100.1. We'll put these all pretty much in the same, on the same box. IN, A record, 10.168.100.1, could be anywhere. Server 1 is IN, IN, A record, and this one can go to 192.168.100.1, completely different place altogether. And this one's IN, A record, 192.168.100.1, so they're somewhere else. Okay, so that's those done. Let's have a look. So www.ftp server 1, server 2, these two in the subdomain. Okay then, so that's that done for OS. So we'll just save that off, exit, and we'll just do a quick check. So named checkzone os.student.co.uk, and that is for the db.os file. And there we go, so that's sorted. Okay then, so we did that one. Next one is the security zone. Sudo nano db.security. We put the origin in. This one will be security.student.co.uk. security.student.co.uk, and again we will say the admin is the person looking after this student.co.uk. Again we change the serial number, so it's 2020 06 02 01. So let's tidy this up a bit more now. Okay, and that's that done. Our name servers are going to be ns1.student.co.uk, and our other one is going to be ns2. Then we go, we don't need those records, so we want FTP, just can't remember now, we want FTP and www as well, alright. www server 1 and server 2. Just tidy the layout a bit. IN, name server, and this one will be 10.168.100. We'll make this 2 so it's on a different IP address. and then we want in name server 10.168.100.2 as well. And then these two servers, what's all these name servers? Tut, A record, and that will be 192.168.100.2, why not? In A record 192.168.100.2 as well. Okay, so that's them all set. Save that, exit out from that, and then let's check this one. So this one will be looking for security, and we're looking in the security zone, and that one's worked as well. Okay, now we've got those two working. So we're currently building, let's quick refresh, we're currently building this with the zones, so this is primary. It can query itself, so what we should be able to do now is go sudo systemctl restart by 9. Okay, now if I do a quick tail of the last 50 entries in var/log/syslog, and here we look, loaded and loaded, security and OS, so all the zones are done. Okay, now what do we need to do? Okay, well, one of the things we haven't checked on this machine is our options file, so let's quickly do that now. So sudo nano namedconf.options dnssec. Let's prevent ourselves getting a load of errors, so we'll just say no on that for now, and we'll save it. Okay, and we know about that. We know about this already, so we've already checked that, so we don't need to worry about it. We know we're going into cache bind for any caching, which isn't going to be doing, and we should be done. So if we now exit out of here, another quick restart. There we go. And away it goes. Another thing we can do here is, what I could do, to be honest, is I could have actually said, give me a quick status on it as well. And I can see there it's actually telling me since all zones loaded. So that's the other way I can check it. Right, okay then. So what have we got now? We've got the primary set up for this one. So if I now do ns lookup for www.os.student.co.uk, we've actually got a www record in there, and I can just bounce this off the local machine because I've given access rights. And lo and behold, I now get an answer. And if I do the same for security, there we go. So I've now got my two zones set up, my subdomains. Now I have to take these subdomains. Now I've got to take these subdomains, and what I've got to do is get them to go from here into here and down over. So the first stage is we'll put it onto DNS1. So we'll add those two to DNS1. So we now go back, we go to DNS1, and in our namedconf file on DNS1, we actually bring these zones in. So now what we can do is we can say, well, on here we've got a zone, and that zone is os.student.co.uk. How does it work? Well, the way it works is type slave. We're on the primary server, but we're bringing in a slave. We say file, because I'm going to actually do exactly as I did with the others, and I want to say, okay, we'll optimize the startup. So db.os.student.co.uk. And we will say on here, interestingly, notify no. Because what I'm actually doing here is I'm saying, guess what? You're created on here, that's fine. However, you're not going to notify anybody when you pull updates from the other servers. So when you get an update, you're not going to tell anybody else, because our secondaries are going to need the same setup. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put in the query and transfer. Now I could do this with an access control list, but I'm going to do it individually because then I have got finer grain control. So, oops, I just accidentally put it in twice there, so I'll just clear that off. Okay, so now what I'm saying is this slave, I'm protecting this zone as well to say the only people allowed to query it are from each other, and I only transfer the secondaries. What I then do is I then add in the security zone as well. So quick way to do that one, we'll clear all of this, paste it back again, change that to security, come down here, there we go, and change that to security. Okay then, so in effect what I've done now is I've actually said you can now have those zones. So what I need to do now, save that, and I'll exit out. And because that's quite a complex file now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a check config on that file. Ah, missing semicolon. namedconf.local. Now, what have I done? Well, let's have a look. Zone and zone, and just put it on the bottom here. Zone, type slave, notify, query, allow transfer. Ah, there we go. Semicolon. And a one at the end as well. There we go. Save those, exit. Quick check on the config file. Missing master's entry. Ah, of course. namedconf local. Masters. And the master is 10.168.100.153. And that will be, oh, Control K, wrong place. The master, because these are the slaves down here. So that's where your master is. And that's where your master is. Now, I've already got my allow transfer into this server, but before I do that, I'll just save this, exit out. Okay, it's happy now. Okay, let's go to that server and make sure we're allowing transfer to it before we start making any changes. So in here, what we're going to quickly do, we're going to do a quick check on the config files. So we'll check we'll check sudo nano namedconf.local. Allow transfer to the server. Let's have a look. Allow transfer to the server. Okay, so here we go. Save off. Just a quick restart on bind, just because we're there. Let's go to my other primary server. We're now in a position to do the restart on here too. So sudo nano named, what am I talking about? Sudo systemctl restart by 9. Okay, let's have a look at that. So we'll do a sudo systemctl status by 9. Oh, what's this? Transfer of that. Security transfer started. Ooh, looks like we've got it done. Okay, just to do a quick check. If I now do a query for, so ns lookup www.os.student.co.uk from this local machine, because I can query locally, and I get an answer. I can also now query on this machine, student itself. So there we go. I've now got the subdomains working as well. So that is the subdomains created and transferring to here. If I want to force an update, I can actually do that, which is dead easy. I would just simply go, I think that was a police car. Anyway, so I can go sudo and I go RNDC, and I can say reload a specific zone. How do I type that right? Reload, and I can reload os.security.co.uk. os student. There we go, student. So reload the student domain from the server. So that's done, and I can reload also the security as well. So there we go. So that's those both pulled through. So I've checked all of those. Next thing to do is to cascade them down, and we do that on the secondary servers. So I'll just clear this screen, and we now need to actually perform this update on, not DNS4, yes, DNS4, sorry, on DNS4 and DNS2. That's it. So on here, this needs it. So this server now needs that as well. So sudo nano namedconf.local Northumbria. And I typed that wrong, so let's do it again. Northumbria. Okay, so on here, I'm now in a position to bring in my other zones. So what I'll do is I'll quickly do this. Undo that. So there's student. And I need two other zones. So I'll just quickly type them in. OS. And the other one would be security. Yeah. So I'll just quickly update these. OS. Security. db.security.student.co.uk. My master is the server. So master. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm saying the primary for the subdomains treats the primary for student as a slave, and then this as a slave I can draw down from slave to slave. So my master is there, not the actual original server. So this gives me the control. Just to recap, if you notice, I'm linking DNS3 to DNS1. I don't link DNS3 to my two secondaries. I would lose control of the subdomain management, so I keep it that way. Okay, so, and allow query local nets. So if I save this, I should now be able to restart this service. So before I do that, because these files are getting quite complicated now, I'm going to do a named check config file, named.conf.local. Yeah, we're okay. Okay, so that's been done, and I will now quickly restart that server. So it's sudo system ctl restart by 9. And now I'll go and do 4. If I now go over to 4, so just clear that screen, and I now go sudo nano namedconf.local Northumbria, take this and control K, and then paste it back, 1, 2, paste it back in, and I now go, it's os.student.co.uk, temporary file is os, and on here I now say I want to copy over security, and the temporary file is security. Okay, so there's my reverse, and notice I haven't created another reverse zone. I only have the one reverse zone. So that's then created, exit out, and I can restart this server. So sudo system ctl restart by 9. And off it goes. If I need to make sure that something's flushed, in other words, I've pulled from the primary, notice I've got 2 pulls to do now. So sudo rndc, if I want to pull down rndc, if I want to reload the os.student.co.uk, oh, helps if I type correctly. Reload. So there we go. It's refreshed, but I should be okay because that was its first start. Okay, so as far as I can see, we should be ready to do a quick test. So let's have a look and see what it says. So we've created all of those. Add RDNS records for those. Where do these go? Okay, before we do that, I want to do a quick test over here. So on my base machine, so this is my base machine, the Ubuntu box, I now want to do an NS lookup for the www.os.student.co.uk. And I get an answer. And I can also do a search now for student. And I can also do a search for security. So that is the subdomains coming through from DNS3. So this is where we're at now. We've now got this configured for our forward DNS. So the 2 extra zones are in here. They come through to the primary, and the primary passes them off to the secondaries, and all these servers can query each other. So it's getting quite complex now, but it does do what we want. Which brings me on to, let's move this out of the way and let's see what we need to do next. We now need to add in the RDNS records for www and FTP servers for these 2 subdomains. Now these are RDNS records, so where do they go? They have to go in the subnet declaration. So they don't go, sorry, I'll bring the wrong one in. So they don't go here, they actually go on the RDNS zone that we created in here. So if we go back to our servers, what I've actually got to do now is go back to my initial primary server here, and I need to add it to this zone. So if we just have a look at that, we'll do it now. So let's put those entries into the reverse zone lookup. Okay, so let's edit the file. Sudo nano db. It's 168, isn't it? Okay, so in here is where they go. So what I've got to do for each of these is actually put in the IP address that they've come in. So we're going to be doing on 100. Now what were the IP addresses we used? Let's have a quick check. What IP addresses did we use? I did query them a second ago. Where did I query? Oh, I queried them down here. There we go. So we've got security. So we got security student.co.uk. So let's put them in. All right. So we go to here and we go www.security.student.co.uk. The other one we want is www.os.student.co.uk. And we also want ftp.security.co.uk. I'll fully qualify. Actually, you know what it is? I want to tidy them up a little bit as well. So I want to put the like ones together. And then ftp.os.student.co.uk. Okay, so we've got a record to put in there. IN, PTR, and that's what that one will be. IN, PTR, IN, PTR, oops. IN, PTR. And then I put the IP addresses in at the front. So what have we got? Security and student. What are they on? www security is on 102. Oh, it's on 102. Oh, it's on 100.2 again. Okay, so let's go over here. That's on 100.2. So 2.100. So a lot of them going out to 2.100. And 2.100. And that's 1.100 and 1.100. Just check FTP OS. It's 100.1, yeah, and I know I put them both in the same. Okay, so to make that take place, I simply go up the top of here. Another change. Actually, make the change properly. There we go. Save that. Exit out. Now, if I restart this server, that will be reloaded. There are other ways to reload it, but the sudo system ctl restart by 9. The other way to do it is to make it force a reload. Now, when I've reloaded it, that's fine. However, on the secondaries, I now need to force the pull through because it won't be there. So if we go to the first secondary and I go in here and I say, okay, I want to reload the reverse DNS. So that's DNS2. And I want to do DNS4 as well. So where's DNS4? Here's DNS4. I haven't done it on there. So I want to reload 168.10.in-addr.arbor. And that's queued as well. Okay then, so all that done, we should be able to run some tests now. So let's quickly check what we're going to do. Add those in as RDNS records. Oh, I've already linked it as a slave. And test the RDNS now. So let's test the RDNS. So I'm on here. I want to do a lookup for, a reverse lookup for 100.2. Oops. 100.2. And I get 4 machines. And 100.1, and I get the other 2 machines. And notice I've got my subdomains coming through as well. Okay, that was a massive amount of work. Okay, lock down the DNS to prevent client machines from querying NS1 and S2. That's all been done. Allow all the servers to query each other. Done. Subdomain to primary using slave. Done. Tested and resolved the queries. Okay, that's the entire workshop complete. And I'm going to leave the last part, which simply means stripping everything out of the subdomaining and just simply adding in those origins into the other 2 records. And that would be the part. So that would be this, the second part of this, which is, oh, sorry, missed it, which is the pseudo delegation, because we've done full. Okay, so from the top, what have we done? Do we understand subdomains? Well, I hope so, because we've done a lot of work on it. And the configuration, we can see it's actually quite complex. What we've done is we've created our initial infrastructure. We tidied it all up from our previous work, but we actually created that new infrastructure and we're able to query the www and mail records. We added in our extra records to do that. We then extended it, and we did named check zones as well. We'd run the queries, and then we extended it by adding in our OS and security subdomains on a second primary server and linked it to the primary. We then edited the transfers and querying so that these were as a block that could query each other. And then this was actually broken down so these 2 were the only ones that were being broadcast. The other thing we did was the host names, we added these, and then we were able to do all the reverse queries. So that's it, all done. And that's the end of the DNS. And what we're going to look at now is how we can use this architecture with respect to web infrastructure. See you there.